According to God's design, the man is the head of the home. Amen, somebody. Now listen, you don't know how crazy it is to argue with God on that. It's very crazy. It's like some people forget that God is the one who created us and who created marriage. It is just like arguing with the makers of iPhone about how the iPhone is supposed to function. It makes no sense scientifically to argue with God. He makes us, he made us, he put the proclivities in us, the tendencies in us, and because he knows us, he knows the kind of order that will function properly. Let me tell you something. If you leave people to truly be themselves and they end up with the right person, emphasis on right person, even if they didn't mean to really follow the Bible order, things will fall in line. Because psychologically, when a woman is with the right man, she will let him lead. Women act like children when they are with a grown man, and they act like mothers when they are with a baby. Sometimes you wonder, how do you survive when I'm not here? Because it looks like they need your help for everything. Have you ever wondered, how do you zip your gown when I'm not around? And you know, they are so entitled, it's kind of cute. They won't even say help me, they will just come and stand in front of you and do like this. Every woman is short when their husband is around. They will call you from wherever you are in the house, help me. Because every woman really wants to be taken care of. It is true. Every woman really wants to be taken care of. It seeps into everything, including our social interaction. This might sound like a broken record for those of you who have heard me say it. Even when you want to take your woman out, if you say, can I take you out on Thursday? And she says, okay. Then you now say, where do you want to go? Even if she graciously tells you where she wants to go, you now say, okay, when do you want to go? You know, every time I give the illustration, just by the illustration, even women start to reacting. Because you don't realize it. It's unattractive. It's burdensome to them. They like leadership. They want you to take initiative. When they come into the room and they see 2 cards in an envelope, it's a surprise. 2 tickets, maybe to go to see some place somewhere or something like that. They like initiative. Because women actually want to be led by the right person. They want it. Don't argue with God. You know, and it makes me laugh when some people try to find biblical excuses to run away from submission. It makes me laugh very hard. You know, look at Ephesians 5:21. When I saw this one, I really laughed. Because in Ephesians chapter 5, in the later verses, verse 22 says, wives, submit to your husbands, right? So some people say, well, verse 21 already said, submitting to one another in the fear of God. So in marriage, we are to submit to one another. I'm going to assume that it's an honest mistake. So I'm going to explain what the Bible was really saying. Now, let me tell you something about preachers you probably don't know. Preachers tend to repeat the same sermon from time to time. You know that, don't you? And it's a good thing, a biblical thing, you know, just to make sure that even if people already know what you're about to say, that it marinates in their soul. So Paul preached the same sermon to the church at Colossae, and I want you to notice the pattern here. Look at Colossians chapter 3 from verse 18. Wives, submit to your own husbands as it is fitting to the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be bitter towards them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing to the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children lest they become discouraged. Bond servants, obey in all things your masters. So listen, he gave an instruction to wives, he gave an instruction to children, he gave an instruction to bond servants, because those were the 3 layers of authority in those days. He taught submission, wives to husbands, children to parents, servants to masters. And that was the exact same thing he did in Ephesians. The only difference is that in Ephesians, the sermon was longer. So he took many verses to explain wives submitting to your husbands. He took many verses to explain children to parents. And he took many verses to explain servants to bondmen. So now let's go back to Ephesians chapter 5. When it says submitting to one another in all things. By one another, he meant husbands and wives, children and parents, servants and bondmasters. Now let's look at it. It now says, wives, submit to your own husbands as unto the Lord. Verse 22. He explained and talked about wives and submissions and marriage. And then in chapter 6, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. From verse 1, you see that, right? And then in verse 5, bond servants, be obedient. So listen, the same sermon, Ephesians was just more expanded. So when he said submitting to one another, he did not mean in marriage. Do you understand what I just explained? That's the will of God. That's the order. Don't marry a man whose leadership you don't trust. It's that simple. It's that simple. And for God's sake, leadership does not mean you are all-knowing. Don't feign all-knowingness. You are not all-knowing. A good leader will recognize the strengths of the people he's leading. In the areas where your wife is good, ask her advice. In fact, let her in some instances take the initiative. Delegate the authority sometimes. Like I like to tell people in weddings, God said you are the head of the home, not the coconut head of the home. Because you're the head of the home does not mean you can't hear word. They can't talk to you. Any small thing. Do you know what? I'm the head of this house. Come on. Calm down. Leadership doesn't mean it has to be all about you. You are not just an African man, you are a child of God. And I believe that there is an aspect to an African man's perspective to leadership that is not exactly healthy. Maybe you grew up in a home where the moment they heard the honk of the man at the door, everyone begins to scamper. That is not the will of God. It is when Adam sinned that he ran away. That's not love. That's not leadership. Please, do you realize this is important? In case you do not know, this is how leadership works.